Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're listening to our Dungeons and Dragons game. I'm your host, the Dungeon Master, or DM for short. And if you haven't seen the last couple episodes, you're going to want to check them out first. We're in the middle of a dungeon crawl, and this is not where the story begins. So go back a little bit to when we entered the dungeon. Start there. You get the gist. At any rate, so picking up exactly where the last video left off, the player characters backtrack to room 138. This large chamber was once an extensive library, as evidenced by the charred remains of books and litter of broken tables and chairs. Scraps of torn and burned scrolls are tossed here and there. A careful search revealed several remnants of works on the ethos, whatever, of chaotic evil, double dealing, self advancement, treachery, etc. The 10th such bit that they examined revealed the quote unquote sacred Earth Triangle and mentioned the trial of earthly terrors awaiting the foolhardy. This trial awaits quote unquote elsewhere. Nothing else of note was in this place. So since that's the first room they did of the night, I'm calling that the prologue. So moving right along, we get into the main plot, which was the PCs went down to room 101. By the way, if you happen to be familiar with this, I am using for the map and everything, which someone asked me in the comments section. I am using the module from AD&D. So it's an old AD&D book with that map, those descriptions of the rooms, so on and so forth, right? But for instance, at one point they run into some giant rats. So what I do is I just Google giant rats in 5th edition. And so we are using sort of 5th edition stats. We have a lot of house rules. Um, and I honestly, I don't think I know any dungeon masters that have no house rules at all. So if you're listening to this, it probably doesn't surprise you. But at any rate, that's just a brief aside about what we're actually doing. But if you have the old AD&D map and you want to follow along, I'll mention rune numbers, and then you can do that if you want. If you don't have the map or you don't care, it's not really hurting anything. The point being, this dungeon it's got a lot going on, right? So they go back or they go down to the bottom of the map, and there's room 101 is down there. And this is an armory. This plain chamber is filled with wooden racks for various spears, polearms, and smaller weapons. The walls have many pegs indicating where other weapons and shields once hung. All that remains now are broken weapons, sundered shields, and ruined coats of mail. Several skeletons, both human and gnoll, lie scattered here and there, as well as odd skulls and bones. Cobwebs hang in places, and if any creatures have been here, visits have not been frequent. A close examination of the bones revealed teeth marks. Many bones were cracked and the marrow chewed out. No treasure was here, nor anything else of value. From here, the PCs went over to room 102, which is another armory just like the last one, except in here they found a quiver of 17 usable arrows. From there, the PCs went to room 108. This turned out to be the most eventful encounter of the entire night because the PCs kept rolling critical failures and hitting each other and almost killing one another. In fact, Max, the 9-foot tall green girl in the chainmail bikini, hit Arthur right in the face with her large great axe, doing enough damage to kill him. Thankfully, we were all scared for a minute. We thought he died. But thankfully, he was still wearing Excalibur's scabbard, which kept him from dying. And I did mention that there was an episode where this dungeon sent an assassin to take him out, and she had plunged well, she seduced him. And so when he disrobed, he took the scabbard off, and then she had stabbed him in the heart with a cold iron dagger. At any rate, so the scabbard is mentioned in that adventure. Um, Point being, he's wearing it now, so that kept him from dying. That's the point. And likewise, by the way, Arthur rolled a natural one, and he hit Max, leaving her with 1 hit point. So she almost died too. She had to leave the room to avoid dying. She was actually taking so much damage that even her regeneration couldn't keep up with it all. That said, the room itself was just full of trash, waste, bones, and the like. It stunk, right? But there was nothing of value in it, just 20 giant rats. And they did an amazing job of slowly whittling away the PC's hit points. So for a room full of nothing but trash and rats, it was shockingly dangerous. The PCs kept rolling a bunch of nat ones, and the rats kept rolling a bunch of nat 20s. And that was why what happened in this room went so badly. I really wish we could get our tech issues ironed out, and we could do this like a lot of other channels do it, where we record it as we play, and you could have seen it. You kind of had to be there. But boy, the garbage room, this is going to be one of those things that my players are going to talk about for years to come, the garbage room full of rats. At any rate, after that, after the room full of garbage rats and friendly fire, the PCs head for room 128. But as soon as Gamish, who is, by the way, currently in his warforged body, as soon as he starts walking down the hallway, 4 crossbow bolts are fired at him from a small hole in the wall at the end of the hallway. Thankfully, sorry, I'm tongue-tied. Thankfully, he has an awesome armor class, so he takes no damage. The hallway junction here is shaped like an upside down letter T, where the vertical part is where the crossbow is hidden at the end of the hallway. It's firing through this little hole, right? So the PCs hide around the corners in the horizontal parts of the T and discuss their options. In the end, Arthur pulls a Leroy Jenkins and storms room 128 by himself, where he takes out 7 gnolls and 1 bugbear. And then from there, he has access to the side room where the 1 gnoll is manning this weird crossbow that can fire 4 bolts per round, right? So he takes out the gnoll, and the crossbow is not normally something you can carry around with you. But since Arthur is a werebear, he can actually pull it off when he's in his big hybrid mode, He's able to carry this thing around. So he kind of treats it in a way like a medieval Gatling gun. At any rate, so as he was grabbing the crossbow, the other PCs had moved on to room 129, where they take out 5 guards. So I'm calling it the epilogue. It's just the last room of the night, The final location for this game session was room 130, which is the room with the trapezoidal annex. And this is a barracks. There are 7 guards and 4 fighters in here, and they put up quite a fight. One of them used a javelin of lightning on Arthur. The PCs triumph, they managed to take these guys out, but afterwards, the party unanimously agreed this looked like a good time for a long rest to get some hit points back. And out of game, I think it's safe to say at that point, everybody just felt frustrated and fed up, you know. Um, they were ready to quit for the night. I'll put it that way. They were ready. They were like, that's enough of this for now. Um, so yeah, so we wrapped it up. Uh, between this game session and the next, I'm going to tally up how many experience points they got. I think it's time for characters to level up and stuff like that, and we're gonna do that, and hopefully that'll be good for morale. Um, I don't often run modules, and I know well, I shouldn't say I know. I feel like I'm in the minority there. I feel like most people who play D&D love modules. Um, I don't usually do it. I kind of did it. The reason we started this was it was something that like I used to own a comic book store, and this was the module I feel like people ran the most. Um, I used to know a guy named Dave, and this was his favorite module. And it was always a different group of players, but he would run this in the store kind of over and over again. Um, and I realized that my kids had never played this; they were not familiar with it. So that was kind of why I decided to run it. Um, but like another friend of mine told me just 2 or 3 nights ago, I think, he was going to conventions in the 80s, I believe. He can correct me if I'm wrong. Where he said that they would run this module because it was just a slaughterhouse. And that kind of the idea was it was designed to kill your character so that in a convention setting, then you would say, okay, well, I played this game for a while. That's enough of that. It's time for me to now go to a different table where somebody else is running a different game, and I'm going to go have that experience now. So he said he would be very interested how we handled it and how basically are we going to survive the gauntlet of the I can't remember if he called it the unwinnable dungeon, or he used some wording along those lines. But I thought that was very interesting. I'd never heard that before. So it's also interesting that that's the module then that people were running so much at my store. I was kind of busy running the cash register at the time, talking to customers about whatever new comic books came out that week, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I wasn't exactly paying enough attention to maybe realize quite how deadly this was. Um, and if you've been following my channel, you'll know we did have a total party kill earlier. And that's one of the reasons why the current PCs are not your traditional D&D PCs, was because of how frustrated my players were. So I let them do more of a monster kind of a thing. After we're done with this dungeon, which I think is going to take us a while, I don't know what we'll do next. Maybe those characters will go do their own thing, and maybe we'll start to focus on a different adventuring party. I don't know yet. We'll wait and see. At any rate, so yeah, that was today's D&D game. honestly kind of frustrating. It was frustrating. Um, hopefully, though, listening to this, hopefully you're not frustrated or anything. Hopefully you found it to be interesting. Um, whatever may be the case, by all means, leave us a comment. Have you played this? What was your experience with it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'm starting to hear some murmurs that make me think that a lot of people hate this one. That it is simultaneously, people will mention it as one of the most famous ones ever, but I'm getting the feeling that a lot of people hate it. But let me know, do you hate it? Do you love it? Have you never played it? Put that in the comments section. Um, and I don't know, this might be our last D&D session of 2023. So if it is, I want to wish everybody a happy new year and a safe new year. I said this on my other channel earlier tonight. My best friend back in the 80s got hit by a drunk driver on New Year's, and he had windshield glass in his knees for life. I mean, um, it for the rest of his life, he was in pain. Um, so kind of because of that, and because I knew him so well, New Year's always makes me a little nervous. So I hope that everybody stays safe. If you're drinking somewhere, hopefully it's a place where you can stay there all night, that kind of thing, and stay off the roads. You know, you get it. But yeah, thanks for supporting the channel in 2023. I'm sorry we went basically half a year without posting an adventure. That was just life happened. Hopefully 2024 will be better for me. Hopefully it will be better for you. Um, but yeah, that's all I got for right now. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Uh, and I'll see you next year. Bye.